Hi, it's Carlos with PC747. In this clip, I will discuss what happens when a poor design combined with a deviation from SOP, standard operating procedures, leads to disaster. The red circle above depicts the air brake handle, also called a lift dump handle, when the aircraft is on the ground. The full range of the lift dump handle is depicted by the red circle on the bottom. The pilots encountered a design flaw with the lift dump system. If you forget to pull it up after pulling it back halfway, it won't deploy the lift dump fully. I think this is a design flaw with the Hawker lift dump system. I experienced the problem myself several times. The fact is, there are several steps you have to accomplish in order for lift dump to work. It's not just pull the handle and you have lift dump. Not at all. After you land, you pull the handle back about halfway, and then you have to change the direction that you're pulling the handle. You have to pull it up completely to get over a restriction. And once you do, then you can pull the handle the rest of the way into the lift dump position.
More dump. Not dump. No, we're not.
Expectation bias is the reason the co-pilot initially said, "We're dumped," when in fact the flaps were not in the dumped position. Then he had to advise the captain.
We're not dump. No, we're not.
What happened right now is significant for both the co-pilot and the captain. The co-pilot gave a loud exhalation and the captain's respiration increased substantially. Why? Because they knew they were in trouble. Both these pilots knew that time was critical and they were running out of time.
No, we're not.
Lift dump is only really effective immediately after touchdown. If you deploy it many seconds after landing, it's not going to be nearly as effective.
We're not. Flaps.
In my opinion, the captain's decision to abort the landing attempt occurred when he retracted the lift dump handle on the runway. That's nowhere in standard operating procedures. And he made things even worse by commanding the co-pilot to raise the flaps. And in Hawkers, you don't take off with flaps up, almost ever.
We're not. Flaps.
Probably the most significant thing is that the captain was going to attempt a go-around after the lift dump had been deployed. That is not something that they ever trained for. That is not something I ever trained for. That is not something Hawker pilots train for.
Here we go.
What might motivate a pilot to attempt to accomplish a procedure that they had never even trained to do before, like attempting a go-around after deploying lift up on landing? External pressures typically. Perhaps the pilots didn't want to get in trouble. If they did run off the runway a bit slowly, it would definitely have been a mark on their records, and it would definitely have impacted their future hiring prospects. That was the ILS antenna array that was being destroyed on their attempted go-around. There were other contributing factors, fatigue, as well as the weather. It had just rained on the runway, and the captain chose to land with a tailwind. Probably one of the saddest findings of this investigation that took almost 3 years was the fact that had the pilots just committed to trying to stop, they would have all survived. The aircraft would have exited the runway, albeit slowly, at between 27 and 38 knots, And they would have rolled into a runway safety area beyond the end of the runway, and they would have all been just fine.